I got my entitled neighbor forced out of his own home using nothing but a single water tap. Here's how it all went down. I just bought a new house for a steal. It was from family friends who had moved abroad and needed the cash. The place was a fixer-upper left in the middle of a renovation. The front door was just a padlock, and there was no main gate, so anyone could just walk right onto the property. The very first day, I found a stranger's bike parked in my garage. I moved it to the road and had a gate installed immediately. Later that evening, an angry man was banging on my new gate, demanding to know where his parking spot went. That was my first taste of the neighborhood. After installing a no parking sign, things quieted down, until I met my next-door neighbor. He was an older gentleman who lived on the first floor of his 3-story building and rented out the top 2 floors. My friends had warned me he wasn't happy about the house being sold. He was polite to my face, but I could feel the tension. A week ago, I was in the shower and noticed the water pressure was suddenly weak. At the exact same moment, I heard my neighbor's water pump kick on. In my city, you need a pump to get water up to the storage tanks on the roof. It could have been a coincidence, but my gut told me something was off. I waited. As soon as his pump shut off, I turned on my taps. The pressure was back to normal. This happened a few more times, and the pattern was undeniable. It also explained why the water bills for this empty house had been so high for the last 3 years. The previous owners thought it was a leak, but it was him. Sometime in the last few years, this neighbor had waltzed onto the property and illegally connected his water supply to mine. He was siphoning my water to supply his entire 3-story building, including his tenants. Now, water here is cheap. My bill, even with his theft, was only about $5 a month. But it wasn't about the money. It was the principle. It was the entitlement of thinking you can just take what isn't yours. I decided he needed to learn a lesson, but I wanted to do it without any confrontation. My plan was deviously simple. I would just turn off my water supply from the main valve on my property. So a few days ago, I waited. The moment I heard his pump rumble to life, I walked outside and turned the valve, cutting off the water flow. See, these pumps are triggered by a valve in the roof tank. When the water level is low, the pump turns on. It's supposed to turn off when the tank is full. But with no water coming from my line, his tank would never fill. This meant his pump would just keep running and running and running, trying to pull water that wasn't there. Starving a pump like that is the fastest way to burn out its motor. That was my goal. But what I didn't expect was what happened next. His house, it turned out, still had ancient wiring from the 90s. The constantly running pump, drawing power for hours straight, completely overloaded his electrical system. Around 3 a.m., I heard shouting from next door. His entire building had lost both power and water. In my country, landlords are legally required to provide essential utilities, like water and power. His tenants were furious. They called the police, who found him in clear violation of tenant protection laws. He was slapped with a $500 fine, which is a huge amount of money here. The fallout was immediate. One tenant moved out the next day. The other followed suit after learning it would take weeks and a lot of money to fix the plumbing and rewire the house. He was legally required to refund both of their security deposits. With his tenants gone, he lost his only source of income. Just yesterday, I saw him moving his things out. He's going to live with his daughter because he can no longer afford the house. Before he left, he came to my gate. "Did you happen to turn your water off the other night?" I looked him right in the eye and said, "Oh yeah, I had a nasty pipe leak. Had to turn it off until the plumber could fix it the next day." The look on his face was priceless. He couldn't prove a thing. He just said, "Oh, okay," and walked away. Next week, a plumber is coming to remove any pipes that lead off my property for good. So, with the simple flick of a tap, I solved my water problem and got rid of a difficult neighbor. 2 birds, 1 stone.